Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1876B, and today's date is May 24th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Boom, the Hammer Just Fell. Justice is on its way. Now, before I get started, I wanted to talk about the threats nowadays in America, especially with the caravans bombarding the border. One of the best things you can invest in for your home protection is a Patriot flashlight. And why not purchase one of the best flashlights on the market? It has life-saving emergency strobe lights. You can charge your phone anywhere, anytime, with a USB port. Other features include compass, rope, wire cutter, solar-powered recharging, high and low beam LED modes, glass-breaking hammer. Limited supplies last, and this is the very last chance you can get yours at a discount before they sell out. Purchase the best flashlight on the market and get 20% off when you use the code X20. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, as we can see, Trump has ordered the declassification. The hammer just fell. Justice is on its way. And it looks like Barr is taking the lead role in all of this. We're going to be discussing this a little bit later. We also have Q. Q has dropped more bread, and we'll be discussing all of this a little bit later in this report. But first, I wanted to start off with Jussie Smollett and Kim Foxx, and it looks like a judge has ruled to unseal documents in the Jussie Smollett case. Now, this is very interesting because they were sealed, the charges were dropped, and he was just set free along his merry way, and it seemed like there was no problems. But former Deputy Assistant John Woo said that if Kim Foxx is convicted of corruption in the Jussie Smollett case, she faces up to 20 years in prison. Now remember, we don't know what's in all of this. They were sealed. She decided they were going to drop all the charges. And now we're going to find out what was really in there. And the former Michelle Obama Chief of Staff, Tina Chen, she is refusing to honor a subpoena for her to testify on her role in getting Smollett let go for this crime. So we have many things happening all at once, and it seems like everything's now coming out into the open. And it looks like Jussie Smollett is going to be in a little bit of trouble, and we know that Empire was canceled. He doesn't have that job anymore, and we'll have to see how this all plays out. Now, Trump posted a video of Pelosi stammering with different shots, and the media is saying that it is doctored. Well, it really isn't doctored because they didn't change anything. First of all, Trump didn't create this. He just reposted it on his Twitter account. Nothing was changed. They took little sections of her from different speeches, and they put it all together. It's almost like a blooper type of film roll. And they just showed her doing little crazy things within this. And Trump tweeted out, Pelosi stammers through the news conference. Take a listen to what she says in all these different clips.
Took a little longer on the floor, custody of the border. Everyone, he started sending signals, the U.S., Mexico, Canada. If that's not the accurate, some people call it after NAFTA, some call it NAFTA 2.0, working together to make past that. Not if we're the fact. There are three things. There are three things. There are three things. There are three things. We're very busy people.
Now, the mainstream media, they're out there and they're saying that they're slowing it down. This is not really what she's saying, but it is what she's saying. They just took all different clips and they put it together to show what, she's done in the past. That's all it is. And they didn't doctor it. They didn't change what she was saying. They didn't do anything like that. I mean, if she's saying 3 and she's holding up the number 2 on her hands, that's her doing it. So Rudy Giuliani, he tweeted out the following. Nancy Pelosi wants an apology for a character exaggerating her already halting speech pattern. First, she should withdraw her charge, which hurts our entire nation, when she says the president needs an intervention. People who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. And actually, Nancy started this all. They said that he was hostile in the meeting. He had a temper tantrum, and there was a cover-up and all this other stuff. And most of this stuff is fake, phony, and false. And Trump is responding to all of this. Now, we know that Nadler doesn't want Mueller to testify, and Representative Doug Collins is out there, and he is challenging Jerry Nadler to have Mueller testify. Now, why doesn't he want Mueller to testify? Well, he wrote the report. He's going to tell you what the same thing that's in the report, and they don't want that getting out because once he does this, that's it. I mean, what are they going to do? Ask him the question, hey, why did you go into Trump's office in the beginning? You knew you couldn't get the FBI job. Why were you in there? I mean, that could be a question. Someone's going to ask it. They don't want him on the stand. That's why they're talking about a private behind closed doors. I thought they wanted everything transparent. Now they're going behind closed doors. It doesn't make sense. And with Nancy Pelosi, she's continually saying there's a cover-up, and Collins is saying, okay, she says cover-up, but notice no one in the media is asking her, what is the cover-up? No one's really asking that question. Well, she's projecting. Think mirror. The cover-up is on their side. They've been covering up for a very long time, and the truth is about to hit. Now, we know, because we discussed this many times before, Devin Nunes wrote a letter to the president saying when he meets Theresa May, and remember she just resigned, he should ask if the British gave permission to spy on the presidency, on him. But when we look at his letter, something very interesting stands out. And it seems Devin Nunes revealed Jospeph Misfud's real name, which is Joseph D. Gabriel. Now, that's very interesting. We know that he's an FBI informant, and now he has two different names. So this is very interesting, and we're starting to see all the pieces start to come together because all these people are being outed. Now, Sarah Carter is out there, and she is saying that big revelations are about to drop on former Obama UN Ambassador Samantha Power. Now, Powers was accused of unmasking innocent Americans in the final months of the Obama administration. She unmasked 300 individuals. This is an unheard of number in her last year in office. And Sarah Carter said, we will find out something soon on Samantha Power and the people she unmasked, and it will be shocking. I mean, think about all the information that's coming out. And this is hard evidence. This is not propaganda like the deep state and the mainstream media makes up. Now, Trump is continually out there, and he's showing that all the crimes were committed by the Dems, the FBI, CIA, and the Department of Justice, and many individuals within them. He tweeted out the following: if they try to impeach President Trump, who has done nothing wrong, no collusion, they will end up getting him reelected. At Lindsey Graham, impeachment is for high crimes and misdemeanors. There were no high crimes and misdemeanors, except for those committed by the other side. He continued, I don't know why the radical left Democrats want Bob Mueller to testify when he just issued a $40 million report that states, loud and clear, for all to hear, no collusion, no obstruction. How do you obstruct a no crime? Dems are just looking for trouble and a do-over, and there are no do-overs. And once again, Collins is out there saying, Nadler is out there with the mainstream media saying he wants Mueller, but he really doesn't. Because Mueller, what is he going to talk about? What information are they going to give him? Nothing. The report was already done. Mueller already looked into all of this. The problem is they don't like the outcome. They thought it was going to be something different, and they were shocked and surprised. That's why you had Comey out there putting up all these pictures, so many questions, so many answers, and all that kind of stuff. Now it looks like Trump, he is making a dent in the Ninth Circuit Court. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals is on track to have 13 Republican appointees among its 29 full-time judges once the Senate confirms Trump's latest nominee to the San Francisco-based court and the president fills one remaining vacancy. With 16 judges tapped by Democratic presidents, the Ninth Circuit is the closest it's been in more than 2 decades to achieving an ideological balance. And everything is changing. It's just not the Ninth Circuit. It's the Fourth Circuit and many other courts. Everything is changing now. And guess what? The deep state does not like this. Representative Mark Meadows, he was out there and he's saying, listen, this is ridiculous. Everyone's saying the wall's not being built. Trump tweeted out yesterday saying, yes, the wall is being built. So Mark Meadows decided to tweet out some pictures of the wall being built. And he tweeted out the picture of the wall. And right in front of the wall is the old steel barriers that are not even a wall. They're just, the cross-section beams. And they really don't do anything. Anybody can crawl right under or on top. Behind that is the actual wall being built. And he shows different pictures of the wall being built. And he tweeted out the following. Just met with POTUS this afternoon. Reports of only a 1 mile of additional wall being built on the border are misleading and inaccurate. In fact, 500 miles of new wall expected to be complete by 2020. Vehicle barriers being upgraded to larger border barrier as well. So they're taking away that old wall and they're putting the real wall there because the other wall was not really a wall. Now, we see that everything is now heating up in Iran. Now, in Iran, we have the Ayatollah, which never wanted this Iranian deal, and then we have the other individuals in Iran, like the foreign minister, the president of Iran, all these individuals who went along with the deal and dealt with Obama, Kerry, and the rest, all the different players. And there were reports out there that Trump is going to be invading Iran with 100,000 troops. Well, that was debunked. Then they said 10,000, then they said 5,000. And now we're hearing word that Trump is going to be sending over 1,500 troops. Is this an invasion force? No. 1,500 troops? No. Why do you think Trump is sending over 1,500 troops? What are they going to deal with? They're going to deal with the deep state. They're going to deal with those players out in that area. Think about Syria. Think about North Korea. Think about what was going on in all these different areas. Why did Trump bomb Syria? Was it to hit Assad's military? Was it to hit Russia? No, he was bombing the deep state. The airbase and everything else was cleared out. Nobody was even there. The whole thing was planned. This is another step in the plan to root out the deep state players in Iran. And Trump has already done this in North Korea, working on this in Venezuela and Cuba, and now working this in Iran. We are not going to war, and Iran is already saying and telling Germany that its patience is over. And it looks like things are about to change. Now, what's very interesting is that Senator Dianne Feinstein, she had a private dinner with Iranian Foreign Minister Zarif, and he was in the country a few weeks ago. Feinstein's office said the dinner was arranged with consultation with the State Department. However, the State Department official said this was not true. Michael Savage tweeted out the following. Feinstein violates Logan Act, colludes with Iran during increasing war tensions. Now, the question we have to be asking ourselves, why are so many people meeting with Iranian officials? We have Feinstein, we have Kerry, we have Obama. Who knows how many others are meeting with the Iranian officials? And we have to ask ourselves, is this really about nuclear weapons? I mean, Feinstein is now meeting with the Iranians because of the nuclear weapons? Or is it to protect themselves from being exposed? That's the real answer. These people wouldn't go over to Iran or speak to an Iranian official unless they had skin in the game. And these people have skin in the game. And they're nervous, they're panicking, and they're worried about what is going to happen. And they're worried that it's all going to come out. Now, Q dropped some more bread, and let's start off with post 3,336. Gave us a link to Fox News. The title is Trump gives AG Barr authority to declassify documents related to 2016 campaign surveillance. And it reads, President Trump on Thursday night issued a memo giving Attorney General William Barr the authority to declassify any documents related to surveillance of the Trump campaign in 2016. Trump also ordered the intelligence community to cooperate with Barr. The memo read, "The heads of elements of the intelligence community and the heads of each department or agency that includes an element of the intelligence community shall promptly provide such assistance and information as the Attorney General may request in connection with that review." Today, at the request and recommendation of the Attorney General of the United States, President Trump directed the intelligence community to quickly and fully cooperate with the Attorney General investigation into surveillance activity during the 2016 presidential election. The Attorney General has also been delegated full and complete authority to declassify information pertaining to this investigation in accordance with the long-established standards for handling classified information. Today's action will help ensure that all Americans learn the truth about the events that occurred and the actions that were taken during the last presidential election and will restore confidence in our public institutions. Then Q says, "Panic in D.C." D.C. is in all caps, bold, and kill brackets. Q. Now, this is out of the conservative treehouse. Now, we know that Trump just officially designated the declassification memorandum. First, Trump has assigned ownership of the directive to U.S. Attorney General William Barr. This part was predictable because the purpose of the declassification would be to facilitate a Department of Justice review of how the intelligence apparatus was used in 2016 election. Additionally, because the Department of Justice review encompasses intelligence systems potentially weaponized in 2016 for political purposes and intents, Trump carries declassification authority, but also an inherent conflict. In this Department of Justice endeavor, candidate Trump would have been the target of corrupt agency activity and therefore would be considered the target victim if weaponization were affirmed by evidence. To avoid the conflict, Trump designates U.S. Attorney General as arbiter and decision maker for the purposes of declassifying evidence within the investigation. Bill Barr does not need to assemble the intelligence product for approval by the executive Trump. Instead, the office of the president is granting the AG full unilateral decision-making as to each product being considered for declassification. Secondly, following protocol, the memorandum is specific to the agencies carrying the documentation that will be reviewed by the Attorney General. The Secretary of State, Pompeo, the Secretary of Treasury, Mnuchin, the Secretary of Defense, Shanahan, the Secretary of Energy, Perry, the Secretary of Homeland Security, McAllion, the Director of National Intelligence, Coates, the Director of the CIA, Haspel, and the Attorney General himself, Barr. The agencies give insight into the intelligence product, evidence being reviewed. The Treasury and Energy Agency was surprisingly notable. Now that's very interesting. Why would they include the Treasury and the Secretary of Energy? Well, the appearance of Treasury and Energy would indicate the pre-existence of investigative evidence that would be subject to ongoing Department of Justice review and potentially be part of an ongoing proceeding. So what are the potential targets? Well, an investigation into Uranium One, investigation of the Clinton Foundation, an investigation of matters related to payments to Iran. Ooh, now we know why these people are so worried right now. Treasury would come into play with the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, which was part of the Uranium One process and also included in the Department of Energy. The absence of the FBI in the memorandum is not unusual. The FBI is an internal agency. Who controls the FBI? Bill Barr. So we don't have to worry about that. Third, within the memorandum, the president does not allow Bill Barr to delegate authority. However, all agencies are required to respond to Barr's authority. He's in control. Lastly, regarding the timing of release. While the purpose of the authority is to empower Bill Barr to collect, process, and declassify intelligence product that is part of the Department of Justice investigative review, this does not preclude the public release of intelligence information in advance of the IG report on potential FISA abuse. Much of the intelligence information may be collected external to the IG review parameters FISA process and may be released independently as part of a standalone declassification that pertains to weaponized Department of Justice, FBI, and CIA political activity. Ultimately, who has the decision to release the information? It is Barr. Barr has full control over all of this. Now, Trump tweeted out the following. Today, at the request and recommendation of the Attorney General of the United States, President J. Trump directed the intelligence community to quickly and fully cooperate with the Attorney General's investigation into surveillance activities during the 2016 presidential election. The Attorney General has also been delegated full and complete authority to declassify information pertaining to this investigation in accordance with the long-established standards for handling classified information. Today's action will help ensure that all Americans learn the truth about the events that occurred and the actions that were taken during the last presidential election and will restore confidence in our public institutions. Now, Trump was holding a press conference and the reporters were asking him, well, who do you think committed treason? Take a listen to what Trump said. He just completely laid it all out there.
Away from a security standpoint.
Sir, the Constitution says treason is punishable by death. You've accused your adversaries of treason. Who specifically are you accusing of treason?
Well, I think a number of people, and I think what you look is that they have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person. If you look at Comey, if you look at McCabe, if you look at probably people higher than that, if you look at Strzok, if you look at his lover, Lisa Page, his wonderful lover, the two lovers, they talked openly. You know, they didn't use their private server because they didn't want to get caught, so they used the government server. That was not a good move. He talked about the insurance policy just in case crooked Hillary loses, and that didn't work out too well for them. So you look at them, they want an insurance policy so that should she, for any reason, lose, remember, 100 million to 1. Maybe he said 100 million to nothing. But should she lose, we'll have an insurance policy and we'll get this guy out of office. And that's what they said, and that's what they meant. That's treason. That's treason. They couldn't win the election, and that's what happened. And that's what's happening right now because, without the treason word, I guess, but that's what's happening now. They don't feel they can win the election, so they're trying to do the 1,000 stabs. Keep stabbing. Let's have a financial. And if you look, for $40 million, I would think, seriously, that Bob Mueller and his group of 18 killers have gone over my taxes. They've gone over my financial statements to a level that nobody has gone over them before. And they were not discussed even. They weren't even discussed or brought up. I have great statements.
And if you notice, a reporter defined treason, but left out the overthrow of the government, left out that part, but also mentioned the death penalty. And Trump, he was okay with it. Really didn't respond to say, oh no, we're not going to do that. So this is very interesting. Now, Nadler is out there, and he's saying, listen, this order to declassify and trying to explain the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation is all nonsense. There's no basis. There's nothing there. There's no evidence. It's an imaginary scandal. Really? I guess he needs to start waking up because he's going to be absolutely shocked. Now, Nadler was at an event in New York and he passed out. Now, they said the room was very hot, but he was white as a ghost. And I wonder if the pressure now is getting to him and he's starting to realize what's coming down the pike here because we have all these individuals, all these players that are trying to brush this off. We have Senator Blumenthal. He came out and he said, it seems much more like an effort to distract with frankly a dull, rusty object, not a bright, shiny one. Now, look what they're all doing. They're downplaying this like it's no big deal. Adam Schiff came out and he tweeted the following. While Trump stonewalls the public from learning the truth about his obstruction of justice, which there is none, Trump and Barr conspire to weaponize law enforcement and classified information against their political enemies. The cover-up has entered a new and dangerous phase. This is un-American. No, this is fully American. Don't you think we should stop those people that committed treason? That were trying to overthrow an elected president? Nobody thinks this is important? I mean, it's amazing to me that he thinks this is un-American, but trying to overthrow an elected president, that's okay. Trump tweeted out the following. Intelligence agencies were used against an American president. At Devin Nunes, at Shannon Bream, at Fox News. This should never happen to a president again. Dems are furious at Robert Mueller for his findings. No collusion, no obstruction. Now they should go back to work and legislate. But they won't. Let's move on to post 3,337. And Q gives us a post 2042. This is back August 31st. Wants us to look at Carter Page FISA, which is public. And Q is saying that others are still classified, which means they'll be coming out very soon. Q said, important to remember, Page is public, remainder are still classified, plus Cruz. Q. We'll get into Cruz in just a minute. Post 3,338. And Annan put up two posts, 2927, 2657, and they have to do with Ted Cruz. The first one was Cruz the target of a separate illegal spy campaign. The other one reads, when will the public discover that Ted Cruz was also illegally surveilled pre-POTUS our nomination? So Cruz hasn't yet been publicly reported that he was being targeted, but will be when FISA docs are declassed. Why is it important that this information comes out about Cruz being spied on? Remember what they have been continually saying, the reason why they were surveilling Trump, which is really spying. They were doing it because of Russia. But when you bring Cruz into the picture, what was the reasoning? That's interesting. This shows it was politically motivated and had nothing to do with Russia. Because the whole spying thing, when they said they did it because of Russia, well, this whole entire narrative goes down the drain. Because then why spy on Cruz? Because it was all politically motivated and had nothing to do with protecting our elections from Russia. It had everything to do with making certain Hillary would win. The whole thing is falling apart. We've come to learn, and we knew this before, that Joe Biden was involved in the early stages of the 2016 Russia probe. How do we know this? Well, in this 7,700 plus word Washington Post article published June 23, 2017, the newspaper detailed the highly compartmentalized nature of the original Russia interference investigation and the manner in which other U.S. intelligence agencies were deliberately kept in the dark. And Biden was one of the few Obama administration officials who participated in the secret meeting. He was there. He knew. Post 3,339. And Annan says, is POTUS going to ask the Queen about UK assistance? Q says, foreign assistance underway with Department of Justice. Gave us an article to The Guardian. This article is 2 years old, by the way. This is the GCHQ chief, Robert Hannigan, who quit after Trump won. And basically, Hannigan oversaw a more open approach at GCHQ after the Snowden revelation exposed mass surveillance by the agency. So Hannigan was the former GCHQ chief, resigned January 2017. He had a major role in the spy op. Theresa May had to know about all of it and probably approved it. And we know that May just resigned. You think Trump is going to mention this? Most likely. Post 3,340. And Annan says, Carter Page Annan. Q says, Carter Page, public FISA. Remainder are still under classification until today. Waterfall of proofs coming post declassification. So we're going to see a lot of proofs coming from Q. Everything that Q has been saying, well, the future is going to prove the past now. So hold on to your seat. We're going to see a lot of this come true. Post 3,341. And Annan asked Q, what can you tell us about Assange? Q responded, under protection. Threat is real. Key to DNC source, hack 187, Q. So he's under protection. He's the key to revealing Russia didn't hack into the server and wasn't the source of the DNC emails. Seth Rich was 187, killed. And we all believe, and it seems like Q has been pointing us in this direction, that Seth Rich was the leaker. And we know that the Department of Justice, they just announced 18 counts superseding indictment against Julian Assange. And they're charging him with espionage. Remember, these are all charges. This doesn't prove that he did anything. And I believe what they're doing is they're pushing this to get him extradited back to the United States. And they are protecting him right now. Post 3,342. And Annan put up post 1164. This is from April 15, 2018. Reread Five Eyes, avoid U.S. data collection laws. Hussein, public dossier FISA, not public. Five Eyes, UK, Australia, POTUS targeting using, pushed Russia decoy meetings, campaign insertions. Hussein, Hillary Clinton, Loretta Lynch, Brennan Clapper, National Security White House, SIT, RM, OP, UK, Australia, assist setup. UK, Australia assisted and set all of this up, which we already knew. Post 3343. Q reposted an Annan post from April 15, 2018. How the Five Eye partners, the UK assisted and everything else. This is post 1745. Highlighted portions of it. FISA equals implicates senior members of the UK, MI5, 6, SIS, US Intel, White House, Five Eye, our party, Congress, Senate of known corruption in effort to retain power and to rig election, plus safeguard events by political kill to act while in power, given mainstream media fake push Russia narrative. FISA equals ties to mainstream media heads, TV, behind Corp, to D Party, other foreign heads of state in co-op strategy, letting us know what is going on. And we went over this many, many times before. Post 3344. And Annan says, what about the Comey report? And Q responds, moves and counter moves. Misdirection sometimes creates one person to turn on another publicly. What did we see happen? People turned on each other. Lynch is pointing the finger at Comey. Comey's pointing the finger at Lynch. Comey is then pointing the finger at Clapper. Clapper is pointing the finger at Comey. This was part of the plan. Now, James Comey, he's not tweeting out pictures anymore, asking questions. He's actually tweeting out and responding to what is happening. He said, investigate whatever you wish about 2016, but don't forget the people of the FBI must investigate and stop Russian efforts in the 2020 election. What impacts will loose talk about spying and disgraceful talk about treason have on FBI agents and analysts? And you can see that he's a little worried here. Post 3345. Q gives us a picture, a movie poster of FISA-gate. It has Obama, Clinton, it has McCabe, it has Comey, and it has Lynch on there. And then we have under it, giving it 5 stars, Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, Matt Gaetz, Steve King, and Scott Perry. Post 3346 gives us all the movie posters, and it says, enjoy the show. And it has Trump 45, the tarmac meeting, that FISA-gate poster once again, Trump 2020, sanctions are coming. Moving on to post 3347. Q says, why did POTUS circumvent D&I Coates' normal protocol for declass and give authority directly to AG Barr? Now, and Annan gave us some background information on Coates. On July 16, 2018, Coates released a statement affirming the consensus of the United States intelligence community that the Russian government interfered in the 2016 U.S. presidential election 35, a day after the 2018 Russia-United States summit, where the President Trump recanted his endorsement of the IC's assessment. On September 6, 2018, Director Coates denied that he had authored the anonymous New York Times op-ed piece from a senior Trump administration official that berated the president. The day before, MSNBC host Lawrence O'Donnell had speculated that Coates was the author of the controversial anonymous piece. Coates released the DNI's worldwide threat assessment of the U.S. intelligence community on January 29, 2019, listing the major threats to the United States. The report states that the international system is coming under increasing strain amid continuing cyber and WMD proliferation threats, competition in space, regional conflicts. Among the disturbing trends are hostile states and actors intensifying online efforts to influence and interfere with the elections here and abroad, and their use of chemical weapons. And he went on and on and on. Now, remember, Trump, he's assigned ownership of all of this to Barr, because the purpose of the declassification would be to facilitate the Department of Justice review of how the intelligence apparatus was used in the 2016 election. So, to avoid conflict, the Trump designated Barr as the arbitrator and the decision maker for the purposes of declassifying evidence within the investigation. If he gave it to Coates, his department was involved in this, and this removes conflict of interest and gives the ball to Barr. And of course, this was done on purpose because he knows Coates, well, he would bury this thing. And I believe that's why it normally would go to Coates, but it went to Barr itself, and everyone has to do what Barr says. Now, what's very interesting about all of this is that the mainstream media, there is like virtually no coverage of this at all. I took some screenshots of CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, and if you notice, there's really no stories about the declassification, about Trump talking about treason. Now, don't you think a news organization, like all of these news organizations, I mean, we know that they're owned by 5 different companies, but wouldn't you think when you hear the word treason and you hear the word declassification, wouldn't you think they'd be investigating, saying, oh, wow, holy, this is an incredible story. We need to delve into this. We need to find out what's really going on, because Trump is saying that there were treasonous individuals in our country that were trying to overthrow a government. Wouldn't you think this would be headline news? But it isn't. Not at all. They're barely mentioning it. And like I said before, don't expect all these individuals to say, hey, yeah, I did it. Don't expect the mainstream media to say, oh yeah, look, these people are treasonous. They're going to continually spin this, or just leave it out as long as they possibly can. And they're going to have events to try to clog up the news cycle. I mean, we see there was a package bomb in France again, and it looks like the bomb was filled with nails and screws and bolts. And this made some of the pages on these mainstream media sites, but nothing about treason and those people that were trying to overthrow a president, spying on the president. And remember, when all of this starts to come out, people are going to be shocked. People are not going to believe. A lot of people are not even going to hear it because the mainstream media most likely will not really report on it that much. But more and more information is going to come out. And before you know it, people are going to be asking questions because it's going to get around. And the mainstream media will have to address it. They will spin it in the beginning, but as more and more information comes out, where we see those people that sign certain documentation, the logs that show that they did this and that, guess what? The truth will always overcome propaganda. And they know there's no way out of this. They have lost. And the hammer just fell. Justice is coming. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.